Shalom, shalom. Giving honor and praise to the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth, the Most High Power. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael, also known as Mordeh Yeshaya. This is Hebrew class number 8, going over this for edification purposes, brought to you from Shema Yisrael. The setting is different because I'm in a different location, but we're going to do what it is regardless. I want to give due respect to the elder Nasi Zipporah, as well as his son Nasi Nathanael, and our beloved Chief Nathanael of the tribe of Lewi. So we're going to start this right here. This is Hebrew class number 8, but we're going to review from lesson 1 all the way until this lesson right here. Now, for those already familiar, if you already studied the previous lessons, you already by this point have a groundwork in the alphabet, have a groundwork in the vowels, have a groundwork as far as it goes with putting the letters and the vowels together, which makes words. Okay? You already have a groundwork once it comes down to the formation of the pronouns, such as ani, ata, at, hu, he, anachnu, atem, haim, and haim. Now, in the last two lessons, which is lesson number 6 and then lesson number 7, we went in lesson number 6 very extensive as far as the aspect of the vowels are concerned. Vowels make sound. The only thing a vowel actually is that's stated is a sound that has actually been written. All right, so we can understand that for edification purposes. The next thing to point out, brothers and sisters, is the fact that if you studied from lesson 4 and then a review of lesson 4, and then 5 onward to 7, by then you already know how the formation of words works. Now, in lesson number 7, we went in regards to the aspect of the noun, such as the word yad, which means hand. So you have yadi, my hand. Yadka, your hand, when speaking to a male. Yadik, your hand, when speaking to a female. Yado, his hand. Yada, emphasizing the ah sound in that regard, meaning her hand. Yadnu, our hand. Then you had Yadkem or Yedkem, which means your hand, masculine plural. Then you have Yedken or Yadken, which means your hand, feminine plural. Then Yadam, which means their hand, or Yadan, which is their hand, feminine. So, as stated, you know the possession of a noun in Hebrew by showing it as the aspect of the suffix. All right, so that's something we want to emphasize on. What we're going to do here, this is not going to be a very, very long one, but we just want to go over the aspect and the situation of how it works in review. All right, in order to watch this and understand, I implore the people to watch certainly from lesson 1, which is on this channel, all the way to lesson number 7, which is also on this channel. Okay, so now, taking a look, we want to show it a little different, right? Looking at this right here, you have here the alphabet within the Hebrew itself. You have the Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, and Hey. Now, in this review, if we remember, whatever sound it starts with is the sound it makes. Aleph makes no sound of its own. It's a mute letter. Bet, the B sound, Gimel, the G sound, Dalet, the D sound, Hey, the H sound, Wow, Zain, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei, Zade, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tau. So this is how the alphabet, these are the 22 letters of that particular one. So if you go back, brothers and sisters, to lesson number 3, you'll be able to, okay, and say Resh makes the R sound, Kaf makes the K sound, and so forth and so on. All right? So we want that to be pointed out for reference purposes. The next thing we want to sit there, brothers and sisters, and get into in this particular regard, right, is, because this is simply a review, but it's important nonetheless. Always remember that Hebrew is read from right to left. So you have Shin, Lamed, Waw, and Mem, as in Mem Sophie. Shin and the Ah sound spelled Shah. The Lamed and the O with the kolam there in that aspect, shalom. And then you just have the mem there in that particular regard. All right? So we already went over and went into lesson number 6, in which we went over and explained what is the kaf sofit, the mem sofit, the nun sofit, the fe sofit, and the zadeh sofit. All of the sofit letters also serving as suffixes. All right? So that way we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about for reason and purposes. Another thing to go over real quick, brothers and sisters, in review, all right, is this right here. So we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about. All right? Now, for those who are following, the class was supposed to start at 5, but due to technical difficulties, it didn't. So I'm at a different location doing it afterward, but when it's uploaded, I'll share it on it. And for those who have any comments or questions, you can just note wherever the minute and second is in the video, and then let me know where your question or comment is, and then I'll reply from that point on, providing it's in regards to what the lesson is concerning, what we're talking about right here. Okay, let's look at this right here. We went over this in the past, right? As stated, this is a review. This is the letter nun. Nun, meaning that it starts with an N and makes the N sound. This vowel right here is referred to as a patak. So the nun making the N sound, and the patak is na. This right here, when you see one dot or one dagesh under the letter, followed by another one underneath it, that is referred to as the shawah. As we explained before, the shawah, you just join it on with the sound that's before it. So you got the pay or the fe. Now, whether or not you say that letter as pay or fe, it still makes the same aspect in meaning. All right? Everyone is not able to phonetically pronounce a P for everything, so that's why you have a fe. All right? The aspect of a J in Hebrew, there's no J in Hebrew. All right? If you will notice that the classes we teach out the camp, we don't emphasize so hardly as many others, no offense intended, there's no J, because at the same token, when many Israelites are saying, which is true, that there is no J in Hebrew, you still find Israelites saying Judah, Japhet, Job, Joseph. So we already know, not trying to sound funny between the so-called messianic or non-messianic, the reason why a lot of people keep on harping on the J aspect is because when JC doesn't work, perhaps then you just got to sit there and say, well, it's really Yahshua. But that's a whole nother subject. But at the same token, we want to emphasize that there is no J in Hebrew, but at the same token, we're not going to sit there and spend but so much time upon that. Take it, teach upon it, and move on from that particular aspect. All right? So getting back to the point here, you have this pay or fe. All right? Being that this has the shawah, you just join it with the sound beforehand. We want to also state, as before, that you will never see a shawah with the first and the second letter. You may see it in words like we went over the word degel, which means flag, in lesson number 6. All right? You may see the word diglaka, which means your flag, when you're speaking to a male about his flag. Okay? So once it comes down to that particular thing, the word regel means foot. Raglaka means your foot. The Gemel and the Lamed in that regard have the shawah. All right? You may see it as stated, the shawah with the second and the third letter, but you will never see the shawah with the first and the second letter. So that's something we want to point out. Then you have the tau here. This tau underneath it has what is referred to as the qamat. That, like the patak, both make the aspect of the ah sound. So you have naf, then you just stop there because of the shawah. Ta, the lamed makes what sound? L, because it starts with an L. All right? Naftali. This vowel right here, as we went over before, is referred to as a kirik. So we just want that to be noted for edification purposes and reason once it comes down to that particular regard. All right. So that right there is a nutshell of what we went over. We went over the aspect of the pronouns, masculine and feminine, when you have either the letter hey or tau. Those are 2 feminine letters of the 22 Hebrew letters. All right? I want to show this book here, and I got to ask the people to pardon the cover. When you look at this right here, it says the Ben Yehuda Hebrew English and English Hebrew Pocket Dictionary. All right, now, one of the things to point out, brothers and sisters, is there is a book regarding Hebrew that is circulating, and it emphatically teaches that modern Hebrew expanded the language. Okay, so basically, what modern Hebrew is, emphatically, is taking the ancient aspect of Hebrew and then putting it in modern terms, as we explained before, which we're going to explain in this review. The word tas in Hebrew, which is spelled with a tet and a samek, means to fly and as a verb. So atus means I will fly. Tasti means I flew in the past tense. All right? So when you say, and by putting the prefix of the mem, you change the verb into a noun. So matos in Hebrew would mean airplane, that which flies. All right? So that's how Hebrew works in that regard. Okay? The word quar or quarar means to cool or to make cold. So when you put the prefix of the letter mem, which is also done in ancient Hebrew, you change the verb into the noun. So mekwarer would mean refrigerator, that which is cold. All right, that which makes cold. So that's something we want to point for edification purposes. All right, so I emphasize people to get this book right here, the Ben Yehuda Hebrew English or English Hebrew Dictionary. All right, also, for those following along, part in the cover, it is ripped off, sorry about that. 201 Hebrew verbs. You may be able to get that book online. If you can't find it, if you get the 501 Hebrew verb book, so be it. But from this point on, it is imperative that one must have this dictionary here and this book right here, the 201. This is how it looks without the cover. All right, sorry about the aspect of the cover being off. So you have to have that for the next lessons, which we're going to get into. Okay, so if, as stated, you can't get the 201 verb book, get the 501 verb book. And from that point, we'll begin to sit there and move on. As we stated, we went from the alphabet to the vowels. We're going to go over this real quickly in the review. Once you understand the alphabet and the vowels, by default, you know how to read. Once you know how to read, you get, as we went over, a dictionary. I prefer, concerning this course and this class right here, this dictionary right here. So once you get that, you move on from that particular point. You build your vocabulary that you're already used to, as stated. So if you're a cook, a chef, you're going to want to know how to say stove, tanor, cook, bishel, sir, pot, markishet, frying pan, yaruk, cooked, vegetables, tornago, chicken, or pardon me, that's tornagolet is chicken. So just want that to be noted for edification purposes. All right? So once it comes down to that particular thing and that particular aspect. All right? So we're going to conclude with this part right here in this review. All right? And I want to show this as stated for edification purposes. Oh, sorry about that. Singular. You have the word ze, which means this, masculine. Zot, this, feminine. Hu, which means that, masculine, and he, which means that, feminine. So now, let's understand something real quick about grammar. Isha is the word for woman or wife. So if you say Zot Isha, you're saying this is a wife. All right? If you're saying Ha Isha Ha Zot, you're saying this wife. If you look at the old Hebrew lessons, go back to lesson number 35 and lesson number 36, we explained that. But as we already stated, we're redoing the Hebrew lessons with more meticulous aspects. All right? So here we have the word ele, which means these. Then we have ele again. If you notice, it's both masculine and feminine. Then you have hema, which means those, masculine, and hena, which means those, feminine. So if you said ha'anashim ha'hema, which means those men, or hanashim ha'hena, which means those women. We're going to get into that and expound upon that as we get into the grammar aspect. But I just wanted to be shown how, or heard at least, how that works. Shalom. Most I bless.